Hey class, it's me again. Yesterday went really well. It was awesome seeing your letters and seeing what was happening, and thank you for those of you who are vulnerable and really talked and shared your feelings. There's a lot of scary, disappointing stuff that happened over the last week as we went through, and I wanted to just really address a couple things and thank you for the hard work that you guys put in. It is clear that you put a lot of effort in this. I got a lot of messages and questions and emails and things like that. Keep them coming. That's fine. It's exactly what I want to see. I'd expect to see some of those things shy away and maybe just talk about, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. And those are all great too. I love that. It doesn't always need to be questions. It might just be, hey, I was really excited to tell you about this. So please send those my way. A couple things I wanted to talk about. The first one is when we talk about our writing, I want you guys to be looking at something. So this is our writer's notebook. I went ahead and I wanted to show you just a little bit what mine looks like. So as you can see here, here would be your writing log. Now, I didn't fill this out quite yet, just because I did some writing for you guys, and then I did my writing below it. So that's kind of what I want to see from now on. It just makes it so it's a running record and all your writing's in one place. So if it's not there, I may have done some copy and pasting to move it over. If I didn't do that, just do it on your own. Just copy and paste from whatever doc you shared with me and move it over. The same with your reader's notebook as well. You're going to have your reader's log right above, and you're going to put your 2 responses below. You're going to have, at that top, you're going to have the summary of what you read, and then at the bottom, you're going to have what you thought about what you read. So both of those things need to happen, okay? But I wanted to read this to you. I went ahead, I put this in our resources so that you can take a look at it. But I want you to see some things that I wrote because we're going to do a little bit of writing from this letter that we did today. So you're going to need to pull out that letter and you're going to be working it. So this is mine. You can read this, but I'll read it to you. Dear class, as I think back to spring break, it was met with a lot of disappointment for our family. We left school on Friday. We had plans to leave to see Mrs. Burley's parents in California. We were excited to go outside, go to the beach, see friends and family. Then that all changed. We knew it was going to look different there, but as information changed, so did our plans. Plane tickets were canceled, friends moved inside. We spent time wandering grocery stores to shop for the week. Needless to say, it was eerie, sad, and quite morose. But I want to look at the bright side of things. Yes, this shut us in, but time seemed to slow in a good way. I was able to spend time at home when I normally couldn't. There was no expectations, obligations, or preparations. I was able to hear my daughter begin urgent babbling, standing, and crawling. We spent time as a family enjoying each other. There was so much joy within the strife. Sincerely, Mr. Burley. So, as I look at that, I want to address a couple things that I want us to be looking at. So this was just kind of a quick write, to be honest. A lot of us kind of looked at it that way. I looked at your times. A lot of us just kind of spent it as a quick write, looking through kind of the things that we were thinking and feeling and trying to figure out. What I want to do today is I want to look at it as a poem. So we're going to take that writing that we did with those feelings and ideas and thoughts, and I want us to bring it into poetry. Poetry is great. I used to hate poetry, and the reason I used to hate writing poetry, quite frankly, I thought it was wussy and dumb and stupid and just all about feelings and emotions. And it is. However, the more I looked at poetry, the more I realized I loved it. Because for those of us who don't like to write big, long stretches of thought to get our point across, poetry is great. We can just give one word and it can be so powerful, even just on its own. So for those of you who don't like to write a lot, poetry is for you. It's a way for you to talk about what you're thinking without really having to write a lot. And people really do a lot of inferring. We know that as readers. The other thing I love about poetry is that it's kind of a game that you play. You want to make things a little convoluted. You sometimes want to make things a little hard to understand that people have to read into because that makes it interesting. So you don't have to say your exact feelings all the time. Sometimes you can hide your feelings just a little bit in poetry because you're going to show, not tell. Now, you're not going to say, I was sad. You're going to say something it's just a little bit different. You're going to really show what was sad. You're going to express it, and people will infer that you were sad. So one of the poems I want us to look at, and I went and I typed this out and I put it on our Google Classroom as well. We're going to read by Christine O'Connell George, and it's called The Blue Between. And I wanted to look at this poem. I like looking at this poem because I'm going to use it as a mentor text. I want you guys to see how I use it as a mentor text. So the blue between. Everyone watches clouds, naming creatures they've seen. I see sky differently. I see the blue between. The blue woman tugging her stubborn cloud across the sky. The blue giraffe stretching to nibble a cloud floating by. A pod of dancing dolphins, cloud oceans, cargo ships. A boy twirling his cloud around a thin blue fingertip. In those smooth, wide places, I see a different scene. In those cloudless spaces, I see the blue between. Now, I love that poem, and the reason I love it is because it talks about stuff that I was really thinking about in my writing, of seeing some of the things that I was looking at that I thought were a lot different. Now, I'm also going to look at something because it rhymes. I'm not really big into rhyming. No one actually talks in rhyme, not that often. So I'm not going to focus on rhyming. Now, Stephen Herrick talks about that, and I put this in here. A few thoughts from Stephen Herrick. He says, for a start, don't rhyme. We don't talk in rhyme. Why should we write that way? Write the way you talk. Think of the tone of the voice in your poem. Is it the way you speak? Write about what you know. Sports, friends, parents, teachers' pets. When you've written your poem, stand up and say it aloud. Work on how it sounds as well as how it reads. After all, poetry is about words, both spoken and written. Good luck. And this is a poem he had. I'm going to read just part of it to show what I am seeing. Seeing the world. Every month or so, when my brother and I are bored with backyard games and television, Dad says, it's time to see the world. So we climb the ladder to our attic, push the window open, and carefully scramble onto the roof. We hang on tight as we scale the heights to the very top. We sit with our backs to the chimney and see the world. The birds flying below us, the trees swaying in the wind below us, our cubby house meters below us, the distant city below us. And then Dad, my brother, and I lie back, look up, and watch the clouds and sky and dream we're flying. In summer with the sun and a gentle breeze and not a sound anywhere, I'm sure I never want to land. And so I've included that one as well. But here's what I want to look at for a mentor text. I like the feeling of the blue between. I like the way that she structured it, where she actually pulled out that part. And you see how she made a between section when Christina O'Connell George made that between section in there? I kind of want to do that in my poem and see how that looks. I think that makes it a cool imagery for it. But then I also like Stephen Herrick. I thought about this part, the repeated lines here. Do you see that below us, and how he keeps pushing them out in different ways? I want to use some of that too. So I'm going to have you guys take a look. I'm going to use my poem, and I'm going to start kind of looking at the structure of George's poem while also looking at Herrick's poem in terms of some of those repeated lines. And I want you guys to see what I'm doing here, because I'm going to have you do some of those same things and some of those same ideas as you kind of work through some of your poetry. Now, if you really like rhyming and you want to pull some of the rhyming portion out, by all means, rhyming is a great way of getting things across. I think rhyming is a really cool, passionate way that poetry uses words. I'm just not feeling that today. I'm not going to go with it. I'm going to go with the repeated lines, which is pretty classic and pretty timeless as well. So if you're looking at my writing, and excuse my really great videography here, I'm going to start off with thinking about starting off with some of those intro feelings to my writing, if you guys can see. And I'll put this and I'll publish this too online so you can see my finished copy when I write it. I'm going to first think about some of the intro things. I'm going to use those short lines. Plane to leave. Bags packed. I'm going to do a long line here because I think it's going to be interesting to kind of break that up. Eager faces is cheesy, maybe eager minds, dreaming, sun, sand, oranges. Because I like this because it makes me feel like that idea of leaving. But then fear, trepidation. I'm going to use a different word. Grocery stores, empty, empty, empty. I'm going to put space here because to emphasize the word empty. But there is great joy here. Joy of family, friends, time, I'm going to try those repeated lines. Daughter, crawling, joy, nights, laughing, joy, time together, joy. Maybe I'll just leave it there. I was thinking there might be one more thing, but leaving on that repeated third line I think is really special. And then I need to think of a title. I'm going to use a title of counting it joy. So that's what I'm thinking. Do you guys see how I use that mentor to look through and use some of those same elements? I really use some of that. So I might think about this and bumping all of that indent. I'm thinking of revising that because here's the other mentor poem I want you guys to think about. And this is from Lee Bennett Hopkins, who's written published more poetry anthologies than any other person in history. And that's a record. And this is from Lee Bennett Hopkins, who just recently passed away. And he said, "Dear poet, do you want to write a poem? Forget it until you have rewritten it. Make your poem stronger by not writing a poem, but rewriting it and rewriting it and rewriting it until what you have is a poem like no other poet has ever written or rewritten before." And so everybody, I'm going to ask that you write your poem, but then I'm going to ask that you rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it. And so I'm going to post online a PDF of what I wrote here, and then you're also going to see online some of the changes that I made as I rewrote it and rewrote it. I'm going to rewrote it about another couple times for you guys to see. And so I want you guys to look at those things. And then you're going to write your own poems in the second day of your writer's notebook. And write a few of them and pull out what you like. Maybe you pull out some things that you liked in one and not another, and you mix and match them. Try some different elements, some different ideas, some different words, different sensory images that you want to pull. I'll do the same, and you'll notice that in this. That being said, get those documents going. Read the directions. Those will help you out. And you should have, every day you'll have a math, a reading, and a writing assignment every single day. So just make a look at that. Here's the other thing, one last thing. This isn't gonna look like school, and I know that. I want you guys to do the best you can with what you've got. It's just not gonna look that way, so you gotta get creative. There shouldn't be tears, there shouldn't be frustrations. Feel free to reach out to me if there are, and we'll work something out. All right, I'll see you for the live stream for our Read Aloud at 11. Bye, guys.